Today, I've got Wildman co-interviewing Anne, who was in the police for 6 years and is an intersex person. So before we get into Anne's story, could you just explain what an intersex person is, please?
Well, an intersex person in the past, we used to be called hermaphrodites. But the term has gone out of fashion now because it used to mean, people used to imagine someone with both genitalia, a vagina and a penis. But that's fallacy. That's very, 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 very rare. So in my case, all that it means is that when I was born, they didn't know at first what sex I was. They couldn't work out. And then they realised I was basically male, but I had a womb as well, which caused a few issues when I was going through puberty. And that's basically what an intersex is, just anyone that physically shows attributes of both genders, both sexes, should I say. Not
How
genders.
common is that to have attributes of both?
I don't know what the statistics are, because you see, it was always a taboo you never spoke about. It's like, I'm 54 now, and I only started talking about it when I was 50. Because it's a different world now, people are more accepting. But I used to always say, oh, I'm just gay. Or people would presume that I was transgender, which I'm not. I'm not transgender. I've got no intention of changing my gender at all.
You'd never need a partner though, would you? You could just check yourself.
Oh, hey, come on. It'd be interesting, like, it'd be very interesting. Yeah, but there's a thing that people did presume that you were physically both, a split between both sexes.
Yeah.
You're not, You're either, actually, more often, the person's more female. And it's just that the clitoris has grown into a penis, or what looks like a penis. Or in my case, it's just that you're a male that's been born with a womb as well, which when I was going through my puberty, a teenager, that's when I learned something was wrong, because I didn't know. My parents kept it from me. And I just started feeling very uncomfortable, and I started realising I was starting to flash out on top.
At what age?
Well, you're talking about 13. And then one day, in total agony, I thought I had appendicitis. I was in absolute agony with my stomach, so they rushed me into hospital. And that's when I found out, because the womb was starting to mature. And that's what caused the problem.
So was that a shock?
It was. I always knew I was different. I always knew there was something different about me.
Were people bullying you?
No, well, they didn't know I was, intersex, but they always thought I was gay. When I was younger, it was very difficult. Now, because I had to take testosterone to offset this. When I was younger, you'd struggle to work out, is that a male or a female I'm looking at? So it was more obvious but people just took it, and I used to say, yeah, I'm gay. And it's only recently that I've come out in the last 4 years and said no.
I always looked at Adam's apples, but that's not always the case, is it?
No.
So where were you psychologically when you were in the hospital with the womb?
Well, it was a shock. And then they said hermaphrodite. And I'd always thought of hermaphrodite, I'd say the classic thing, both sexes are complete divide. And I said, I'm not. They said no, and then they explained to me, they said it's not quite like that. They said that's in the fairy books. They said that's a complete divide between the two. But it was very, very, very much taboo. And when some family members found out about it, oh, I'm telling you now, Shaun, no wonder it was taboo, because I was treated like an absolute freak.
Well, what about the conversation with your parents first? How was that?
You were born like that, it was your fault.
Well, my parents were fine. And even though my father was a big scouser, a big tough scouser, he never once called me or slagged me off, and he'd always stand up for me if anything happened. So he was very good that way. Because when I was, going through my teenage years, I was very effeminate. And then you had the gender benders, Boy George and all that. And I went for a big style. I used to be walking around with mini skirts on, never and makeup out. So, but he never disowned me or anything like that. But I got trouble from people that I lived around.
What did they say?
Well, it was just, that's say they didn't know it was intersex. They used to just be, calling you the homophobic names and stuff that. Yeah. That's all they'd be calling you. But now it's much, much easier. People are talking about it on the internet now. you can come out with it's wonderful. I wish I was young now. I really, really do, because people are getting more aware of the different forms of sexualities and the different forms of the human condition and psyche.
So back then, you suppose, just to cover all questions, you'd just say, "Oh, I'm gay," wouldn't you?
Yeah, I'd just say I'm gay, because they knew I wasn't, straight that way.
Yeah.
So they used to, I'd just say, "Oh yeah, I'm gay." That's it. It would be easier than having to go into a big explanation, and then they'd be looking at you if I did, on the very rare occasions when I did say to someone, "No, I'm not actually gay."
What was the worst discrimination against you in your younger years?
I'd say the family, literally. It used to be giggling behind the hands and stuff like that, and that really put me off. And at first I was like embarrassed about it. Then I got angry, very angry, and I've never spoken to them since. Never. Still to this day.
You'd expect it off school kids and that. You don't expect it off your
You don't
supposedly loved
expect
ones,
it
do
off your family, especially when it's something that you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like saying, "Oh, well, you're free." That's it, hush up. And that annoyed me more when people would say, "Don't talk about it. They won't understand, don't talk about it." And I used to think, what's all this about? That you have to stay hidden all your life? But it never impinged me, let's put it that way. I still got on and did
Well,
what I
that's
wanted
good
to do.
though, because a lot of people don't fucking. I mean, that must be horrific, really, to find out stuff like that. But still, like, be able to go on. I mean, didn't you ever think like, oh, you know what? What's the point in going on?
Not over that.
No.
Not over that. I was suicidal at one point, but it was more to do with what was experienced at the police, but not over that. And I came very, very close to it, but thankfully. And it was actually the police that saved me.
Well, we're going to get to that.
Yeah.
What was your sense of injustice, and like what led to you wanting to join the police?
It was a mistake. It was a mistake. I used to work with the probation service with drug users on treatment orders. Not far from here, the old Titanic building.
Why did you choose to work there?
Just, it was a job. Because I worked, initially, if you want to go right back, I initially started training as a ballet dancer for years, many, many, many years. I did that for, and I just wasn't going to get anywhere. I wanted to be a star, and I wasn't going to be a star. I just didn't have that capability in me. So I joined the probation service, and it was just a job. That was it. I didn't know what real life was like then.
What year is this?
Oh God, you're talking way back, Shaun. Talking way back. See, I was 24, I stopped the ballet. And I worked in the theatre as a lighting technician and a dog's body as well for a long time. Then I thought, no, I need regular income. So I got a job, say, with the probation service. It was just up like an administrator, doing court papers and all this. So I got all the knowledge of how courts work and all this business. And it was good. I enjoyed it, but like everything else, things can start going sour in a workplace, and everyone started leaving. It wasn't that there was anything bad about it. It's just people were leaving, and I thought, well, if everyone's jumping ship, I'm going as well. I'm following the rats.
Stuck here for a long time.
I thought, because something's going off here. I thought something's definitely going off. So I applied for 2 jobs. I can't remember what the other one was. And the other one was for the Merseyside Police. And I thought, I haven't got a chance of getting this. And I remember one of the nurses, she was a lesbian in the probation service, and she was dead funny. And she turned around and said, "You'll get that." She said, "They'll freaking grab you." So I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "The time for your sort." She said, "You'll tick a few boxes, you." And it's true. So anyway, I said, I haven't got a chance of getting that. They won't take me on. I said, I don't know anything about the police, which I didn't, Shaun. I knew absolutely nothing about the police. I was that daft. I thought that the low rankers wore helmets and the high up ones wore caps.
I used to think like that.
I thought that. So I went for me interview. I got the interview and thought, I don't know anything about this, but I wasn't planning on getting it. Didn't research it or anything. And it became pretty obvious. I was interviewed by 2 people, and one of them, I'll keep his name quiet, a chief inspector who came into the story later on. Oh, he must have regretted taking me on. I was in the room, and he was kept on saying to me, "What would you do if someone said something offensive to you?" So I said, "What do you mean?" So he said, What would you do? How would you respond? How do you respond? So I said, "Well, I've got a tough skin." I said, "I wouldn't said I'd either give them it back, or said I'd just ignore them." Yeah, but what would you... And I realised then, thought, he wants me to turn around and say I'm gay.
I did some more.
No, he wants me to say I'm gay. That's what he wanted. He wanted the buzzword, and I thought, well, you're not getting it. I thought, I'm not saying it. So I just wouldn't say it. I avoided it, and he realised I wasn't going to say it. But it was obvious. I mean, I'm not daft, I can tell. So anyway, I got the job. And I thought, oh, wow, this, grace I've got. So then the training started in Mather Avenue. And that was really good. I loved the training.
What did you have to do?
Oh, you had to do all sorts. You had to learn how to take statements. You had to learn conflict resolution. That was embarrassing. I know if someone kicks off on you, you bring them under control physically. And that was exciting doing that.
You fingerprints and all that?
No, I didn't do anything like that. But the physical training, that was interesting because, of course, being in ballet for years, I was still flexible. You never lose that flexibility. So when we'd be doing the exercise, people would be wetting themselves. That'd be like flouncing around the room. Instead of doing it the way they should be. And I couldn't stop myself doing it because they'd say, now do this, and I'd do a proper plie, just down the room. So that was exciting. But I'd say the training was absolutely... I found that was the best bit of training. And we had a wonderful will name, Ian Grindley. He was absolutely brilliant. I loved him. He was an old... been with the force for years, and he was really fun to be with. But something very interesting happened one day. And I was just out, used to smoke then. So I was having a cigarette. And so suddenly I heard this voice saying to me, now, my name back then was Terry. And said, Terry. And so I didn't know who the hell it was, this police officer standing there. And so he said, how are you doing with your train? So I said, all right. And I had a little bit of a talk. And he said, you're best not speaking to certain people if you see things happening in the police force. So I went, I didn't know that. And so he gave me 3 warnings, and these 3 warnings have followed me ever since. And he said, 1, never approach the Liverpool Echo. That was 1. And then he said, never approach any MP or councillor. And he said, never approach Radio, BBC Radio Merseyside or Radio City, because he said they're all deal striking with each other, the force and them. So I thought, oh, all right, didn't even know why the hell he was telling me that. I worked out later on, it's because I was so, Shaun, I was so green I didn't know anything about the police. I used to just say it's a sorry. And, of course, they were thinking this is someone that just blabs. And says when he doesn't like something, what if he sees something in the job and blabs off?
Yeah.
What's going to happen? So that's what it was, but I didn't know what this deal striking was or what was going on. I didn't have a clue. So it ended me, when I was in my training, we got allotted the stations where we were supposed to go. And he said, you're going to C Block in Admiral Street. Well, some of the people that were doing the training, they'd been with the police for years. They were just doing a different job. And suddenly I heard, when your heart sinks. So I said, why are you going? I said, what's wrong with that? And they went, And one of the women, she'd been in the radio control room for years. She pulled me aside. She said, Terry, she'd be very, very freaking careful with that lot. So I said, what do you mean? She said, they won't take to anyone being different. She said, they've had problems. She said, I'm going to tell you now. She said, you're a guinea pig. She said, they're testing them with you to see if they've changed their ways. So I said, I'm up for it. I said, I don't.
I'm glad he employed you as well. Isn't it,
oh, exactly. Now, this is where...
Just put you out, it's like sort of, hey, we're not racial, we'll employ blacks. Hey, we're not, we'll employ gay.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like
token. And I always said that. And you know what? The officers used to actually admire me for saying that. I'd turn round and I'd say, because, all right, after me training, I'd scored double top. I was joint top at the class. Because I pick up quick and I did learn quick. So I was good at it when I learned it. But if you'd seen me in that interview, I didn't have a clue. Now, there was something like, there's a massive amount of people went for the interview. And only a few of us were selected. And there must have been people much better than me, much better. I was under no illusion why I got the job.
Yeah.
So, I used to joke and I'd turn around and say, no, I'd say I shouldn't have to work at all. I said, I'll just open the door I said, when the public go in and say, hello, I'm gay, and close her again. I said, that's what I should be paid for. But it's true,
isn't it? Though,
true.
yeah.
But anyway, I got in there, and it was great. At first, it was great. And I'm not talking about just for a few weeks. You're talking about for a good 18 months. It was great. I got on with everyone. There were a couple of warning signs. I thought, a couple of people, you always get them. You always get a couple of people you won't get on with, but you just have to get on with that. And also, you have to take on board as well. The police attract macho men. They do. And they have to, in a way. They have to have that balance, because you can't have someone going up all, God forgive me for saying this, I'll get told off saying, all limp-wristed with a big thug or something like that. You just can't have it. You've got to have these macho types. So you put up with that and you're accepted. But there were some things I thought, that's off, I don't like that, and I wouldn't even repeat some of the things that were said to me, and it was starting to grate me, and I thought, that is rude, because one thing I don't like, I'm old-fashioned because of my mother in my ways. I don't talk about anything like sex or anything like that, or personal things. You don't talk about that in my world, and it embarrasses me when people do it, and they were going on very personal, and I'd say, none of your business, and horrible things. So I started getting fed up with this, and then they realised that I was snapping back at them. I'd say, I know you have your banter and all that, but I said, you're getting very bloody personal, and I said, I'm not putting up with it. I said, not having personal questions. I said, I've never been so aware that I'm different. I said, as when I'm coming into work here. Shaun, it was horrible. It got to that point where I'd be going through the gates in the morning, driving through the gates, and my stomach would literally be eating me away from inside. I'd be like, what am I going to face this time? I just wanted to do my work, deal with the public. I didn't want to get asked or told disgusting remarks, sexual remarks about me, thinking that's all funny. So it got to the stage I thought, I have to move. Now, I say there was only a few officers. It wasn't the whole block.
Yeah.
The majority of the block were
Didn't you have a
absolutely
union at the time? Well, you could have gone and seen the union.
Unison were absolutely rubbish. I was with Unison, and I'll tell you about them. They're absolutely, totally rubbish. They don't do anything. They don't help anything. And I'll tell you about their record of winning disciplinaries, which is telling about how they fight in that force for the workers' rights. So anyway, I thought I have to move, because I thought I'm going to kick off. I thought one day I'm going to blow up. And one of the officers I was going into business with, and he had his own little business and asked me to do some stuff for him. So I said, all right, I'll do it. So anyway, they ignored me. I didn't get moved. So I asked again, said, look, you'll have to do, because said, I'm finding a bit off-putting here. I said, I don't want to come into work. I said, having to worry about what I'm getting told. I said, I'm supposed to be dealing with the public. And one day I did snap at a member of the public. I had to apologise and said, look, I'm sorry. I said, it's just been a stressful day behind there.
That's just there giving you fucking shit, isn't it?
Yeah, just like that all the time. So anyway, wouldn't move me again. Then, one night, I was in there, and if you'd seen me, I was just skin and bone. Because if I get really stressed out, I stop eating.
Yeah.
I'm the opposite from most people. I don't eat. And I sleep all the time as well. Well, I wasn't eating for weeks. I was just picking at things. And people were even saying, they said, are you all right? Because my collar was like out here. My neck was so thin. And I couldn't see it, but they could all see it. So I'm sitting there on a night shift. And suddenly, this officer I was going into business with came in the room. And I cracked a joke. And it was just a simple joke. And he must have been under stress. I mean, because of course, a police officer's job isn't easy. It's not Shaun. It's a very stressful, horrific job. And he absolutely took off on me, bad style. All the C's, all the T's, all this and the other. And I thought, who the hell does he think he's talking to? So I said, stop it right now. I said, you're going too far. But he carried on, screamed at the top of his voice. So I thought, right, sod this. So I got up, saw me inspector and said, I said, shove your block up your ass. I said, I'm going. I said, I've asked to leave. But I'll tell you what happened before that, which made it more obvious that it was all falling to bits. Before that happened, they were all on parade. Now, I used to go on parade. Now, before you think that parade is the marching up and down and yes, sir, and clicking the heels, it's not. parade is literally a coffee break in the morning in a room,
Yeah.
and they're all gossiping. And then they get the area commander's orders of what the jobs are that day. Anyway, I used to go on it, then I stopped going on it because, again, this insults coming out all the time. And so I thought, right, I'm going to call up the lorry. I said, I'm being ignored here.
Well, didn't we female coppers stand up for you?
Oh, one of them.
Were they the worst?
One was all right, but there's one horrible little one. Oh, God. Horrible little mate.
She must have been a dyke. She must have hated
No, she used to come in, right? Oh, and she was all right at first. It got to the point we wouldn't even talk to each other. We'd just blank each other for weeks. What annoyed me about it is when she'd come in and she'd sit down. We used to have a table here, and my chair would be here by the computer, doing whatever needs to. And she'd be sitting like that. And that's vulgar to me.
Yeah.
And I'd say, do you mind? I'd say, can you close them? I said, have you got a pair there? I said, that's disgusting. I said, what woman sits like that with her legs wide open? So she used to hate me doing that because I'd pull up and she'd come in doing this swag. She wasn't a lesbian. She wasn't telling now she was straight to come, but she'd come in now doing that, fitting in with the fellas. Say one thing about her, she never pushed the work onto me, and I'll give her that due. She never pushed the work onto me, where others would. They'd say, oh, can you do this statement for us and all this? And I'd be off my head trying to get all the work done. But she never did. But this is how we really got on the wrong side of each other. I always say, it's one little funny story to tell, where it really started going bad was I used to buy now and again cakes and stuff for the parade room. People used to do it now and again. I bought them cakes. Well, this fella was going into business with. He kept on saying, "Oh, I'm on a diet." Honest to God, he didn't need to lose anything, but he used to go, "I'm on a diet." So I got him these sticky toffee puddings, Weight Watchers. Got them. Next thing, I'm in the office this day, and the sergeant came in to phone someone up, and he was too thick to realise that the speaker was on the phone. So I could hear everything. And he didn't know how to turn it off. And he was talking to another station keeper. And he said, "Oh, I heard that Terry's after this officer." So I just looked at him. Said he bought him a cake. So I was looking at him, and he was like, "Oh, wait. Oh, I have to go and put the phone down." He was like, like that. So I said, "God, but I said, he doesn't have a high opinion to him." I said, "I can have him for a sticky toffee pudding." I said, "That's all." Well, that was it then. It starts all going downhill. And this female officer, she turned round and she was out on duty. Thought she was being funny, but the whole of Liverpool South heard this. Someone said something to her, and she turned round and she said, "Yeah, like Terry with this officer," and I nearly died. I thought the whole of Liverpool, South Liverpool, would have heard that because she said it over the radio. And the sergeant said, "You better pull it." I said, "You can't say things like that." I said, "That's so embarrassing, that." So I see her pulling her up, and she's wetting herself laughing. He must have been telling her, "Oh, he's upset by what you said." So she came in the room, and I just lost it. I said, "How dare you?" And so she said, "What are you going on about?" So I really gave it down the back. I said, "Don't you dare," I said, "make jokes like that." I said, "I don't come to work," I said, "and be sexuality," I said, "it's just thrown about." So that really caused it. And then I walked on to parade and told them all straight to the face that they were all goons. I couldn't stand any of them. And I said, "I want to move, but they won't move me." But I said, "Tell you what," I said, "keep out my room." I said, "Keep out my office." I said, "Right," because I said, "I don't want any of you in there because I'm fed up with you." So they didn't like that. That was like a smack on the nose to them from a scummy little civvy, as they'd see me. So then I walked out. I say that night it all kicked off. And I said, "Right, I'm going." I said, "You either move me," I said, "I'm not coming back," end of it. Well, that's when the nightmare began. Horrendous nightmare. And got home next morning to a chief inspector. The chief inspector who interviewed me for the job and accepted me, he came down with this other inspector. And so I thought, no way are they going to interview me on my own. So I knocked on my neighbour's house and I said, "Let them interview me." He said, "I can't be bothered." I said, "I'm on my own." And they said, "Not having them threatening me on my own." So she said, "All right," she said, "Come in." She said, "I'll listen on the stairs." So she stayed there and let them know that she was there. And so they were all taking saying, "Why did you walk out?" I said, "I'm fed up," I said, "with the things that are being said." And so they said, "Do you want to make a complaint? So I said, no. I said, I'm not interested in making a complaint. I said, I don't want to make an issue with this. I said, just move me. I said, I'm not getting on with them. So anyway, oh yeah, we'll move you. They went away. So I was called in CHR, Human Resources. And then I'm told, you're being suspended and you're being arrested.
God.
And I went, what for? Sexually assaulting police officers. So I said the name straight away. I said, has he said that? And so I just said to him, I said, this...
What was toffee sticky pudding?
No, this was because I'd walked out. He thought I was going to put a complaint in about him, which I wasn't. I didn't even mention his name. So
he had something guilty about it, to put one in on you first.
To protect his own ass,
he
said I'd been touching him up. So he could say, oh, that's what was happening. Anyway, I turned around and knew it was and said straight away. And he said, the fellow from HR, we've got, I never forget the way he said in an weird way, we've got witnesses, not witnesses, witnesses. I said, I don't care what, witnesses. I said, I've got a pair of eyes in my head, and I said, I wouldn't touch that pig. I said, if you paid me to touch him, I said, no one will touch him. I said, he has to friggin' beg for it, which he did. So anyway, I thought, this went on for a year. I was getting paid by the taxpayer of this country to sit in my ass for a whole year. Anyway, I was interviewed under caution. And so I was that annoyed. I used to go in, never had my hair like this. I used to have my hair short and I'd present as a male. I never used to present as female. So I thought, right, I'll give you gay now. I thought, I'll give you something for your cameras. So I literally got my hair bleached, big pink stripe here. And I mean, I had eyelashes.
You went over the top.
Went over top. And the funny thing was, I got these 6-inch heels. No pole dancing heels.
Yeah.
But a suit on. And so went in with all this makeup. And it was
That's hilarious.
Well, it was the funniest thing going because I couldn't. I'd never worn heels like that.
All wobbly and shit.
I looked like Frankenstein walking in, trying to look glamorous, was like... So they were all trying not to notice, and that was the funniest thing. They were all like, oh, no, so nothing was strange with this clown, literally, with eyelashes out here. And I thought, I'll show. And it was really mincing as well, putting it on. So I went in, and the interview started. And it was absolutely, I'll never forget it. Never forget the one that interviewed me. And I tell you now, I've got a funny feeling she's going to be the next chief constable of that force. I've just got the feel. She is. She's corrupt enough to become the next chief constable.
Corrupt enough? I forgot you said good enough.
Oh, corrupt enough. No such thing as a chief constable that isn't corrupt. No such thing at all. So anyway, I was put through and I started learning then what has been said about me. Not just him. Another officer was saying it. That I touched them up and all that. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, God, blimey, I wish someone would have told me that I was touching them. And they were the ugliest ones off the...
What are the size of these people anyway? Do you like big men?
Well, no. If you saw them, you'd think you wouldn't friggin'... I say, they'd have to pay for
sex.
But the other one that said it, he was, oh, God. He'd been in a special for 10 years, then became a regular. And he was a real misfit. And I used to say, one day, he used to get on my nerves because he'd come in the room like this, talk, and really strange character and no personality. Mm-hmm. And so one day it's a joke, which I shouldn't have done. He was going on about his girl. I said to him, have you got a girlfriend and all this? And I shouldn't have said this, really. And so he went, yeah, I've got a girlfriend. So I said, let's see her. I said, go on the phone. So we went, no, I haven't got it. So as he was walking out, I said under my breath, because I didn't like him, I said, yeah, I said, a right hand in a Daisy magazine. That's the only bleeding girlfriend you've got, mate. Anyway, you must have had her in for me after that. But thank God he did make that allegation, because that was the one that was proved to be a lie. Because what they didn't realise, he said, sorry about this, Shaun, starts to get a runny nose for some reason.
Got some tissue?
Oh, yeah, if you've got some, that'd be brilliant. So anyway, he turned round and he'd said that I'd gone up to him, and this female officer, the one that you sit with, like something like that, she backed him up and said that I said, do you want me to do that up his rectum? And I said, what? I said, in front of her. I said, she hated my guts. I said, do you really think, I said, I'd put myself in the position, I said, to say that in front of her? I said, she would have delighted in running and snitching on me. I said, she would have reported that straight away. I said, I'd be mad.
The allegation was that Anne fingered
thank
the
you.
guy's bum
Oh, right.
in front of the woman who was...
No, not that I said, would he like, not
Okay.
that I had. He said, so I thought, I said, oh, really? I said, I'd do that.
What
in
man
front of
doesn't
her.
like a finger up the
Oh,
ass?
God. But anyway, he says, ignore him that. Anyway, he turned round, and what
Say
he'd
it, I didn't.
forgotten, I remembered the day that was, because it was Boxing Day, and he'd said it was Boxing Day. And I said, wait a minute. I said, there was a fella. An ARV, they're the armed officers, the ones with the guns. I said, there was an ARV officer there that day. And I said, he was shadowing him. I said, remember that? So I said, get in touch with this officer. Anyway, they found out who the officer was. And the officer said, I was with him all the time. And he said, that station keeper never did anything that made me raise my eyebrows. And he said, I never left that officer.
And I've got a gun.
I never left. So there was the proof. There were lies being told. Anyway, these allegations I was touching the other officer up. You've got to remember something. They've got pocket notebooks. I said, right, produce the pocket notebooks where he has put it down that I was touching him up. And I said, tell him to explain why he never went to supervision and told them that he was getting sexually assaulted on the job. Because said he must have been enjoying it if it's true. Said he must have liked it.
Didn't you have cameras in the day back in the
Not
day?
in
no?
the stations itself. They have them on the front desk. But anyway, it was all rubbish. It was all total lies.
Well, obviously, yeah, but I
But
mean,
they were. This is the interesting thing. When my solicitor said when I was being interviewed, he whispered to me when the officers went out the room, the interviewing officers. He said, she's just turned round and said to me, we want rid of him because that officer was with us for 15 years. She said, he's only been here for 18 months. She said, we want rid of him. And there was another issue as well. I'd seen the officers one day with the phones. And I could hear this, and they were all looking at the phones, this fella's phone, this officer's phone, and there was this horrendous screaming going on. Shaun, absolutely horrendous. And I thought, what the hell's that? So, and it was a pig, live pig being cut up with a chainsaw that they got off the internet, and they were laughing at it. So I said, oh, that's sick. I said, I can't handle this. And some of them had porn on her as well. Well, I wouldn't have said something, but I thought, if I'm getting accused of all this, I'm going to crash you all up, you bastards. So I turned around and said, during the interview to this female officer, who I won't name, who will become the next chief constable, I know she will. I said to her, I said, well, they had porn on the phones. And she said, oh, I haven't got the authority to take the phones and check it. Now, that's very important, that, because not long before, an officer by the name of Paula Tomlinson, who was the first female ARV officer with the gun, she killed herself through allegations of bullying. And she said the thing, them watching porn and all this, and she swore that that's why she was getting bullied, because she'd reported them watching porn in the office. So she should have grabbed those phones off those officers and checked them out, but she wouldn't do it. So it was set up, I was to be the fall guy. They were hoping, and this is the mistake I made, Shaun, shouldn't have done it. I put my heels in, and I thought, well, I'm not leaving, you'll have to push me. You'll have to push me, I ain't leaving. So next thing, the CPS dropped it all. They said, we're not taking this case on. They said, there's too much evidence against this happening. So the officer who made the allegations towards me, crafty guess, instead of working, he was sent to another station when the investigation was going on. He's working in his shop, pulling a sickie. And they found out about it, so they sacked him on the spot, walked into the shop and said, you either resign now, or they said, never sacked him, they said, you resign, or they said, so they wanted rid of him because they knew the first thing I'd do when I got in there was say, right, arrest him.
So he's getting paid for being a police officer on the sick. And
He's on the sick. So he left, but he still should have been arrested. And this is how evil and nasty I was. I could insist on they were all arrested because they provided false statements. That was obvious. They'd made lies.
The thick as fuck though, because they couldn't even get the false statements fucking right.
They couldn't.
You think two police officers would know how to fucking do a false statement, for God's sake?
So, they're not. When people think, police officers are dead intelligent, they're not.
No.
They're not. What it is to get confident And I said this about my experiences with Merseyside Police. I said, you get too confident, said, in your own abilities. And I used to be able to end up, and I used to, the PSD, that's the Professional Stance Department, the Blue Meanies, they're the beating heart of corruption in the police force. They're the ones that are supposed to stop the corruption, but they cover it up and they maintain the bullying and all this. And I used to say to them, I'd say, go on, I'd say, I'm waiting for it. I said, I know you're going to jump before you even think about it. I said, and I'm waiting for you. So I used to be always be one step ahead of them because I'd be waiting for the next hit because they want me out for you. So anyway, they turned around, they said, right, they said, if you want to go, they said, we'll give you a good reference. So I said, well, you can't do that. I said, that's lying. I said, according to you, I'm a serial sexual pest. I said, he touches up police officers. I said, you can't give me. I said, you could be sued by my next employer. I said, if they find out. I said, you're not going to lie on a reference. So they knew then I wasn't budging. I was going to stay. So I couldn't go back to Admiral Street, which I wasn't upset about. So they sent me to speak.
They couldn't technically sack you or anything, could they?
No, they couldn't do anything. So I went to speak. And that was a completely different station because Admiral Street is rapid response and it's all full on.
Yeah.
Actually, it was better because it is full on and everything's exciting there. Everything's really exciting there. But Speak was quieter. I must say that Speak people were the best people to deal with. They were the easiest, they were the most rational, even though they could come in and knock. If you were fair with them and you told them the facts and told them what was what, they'd be happy and go away. They wouldn't aim. So that was the best place to work. But by that time, I wasn't playing games with any officers. So I was on my guard, and there was all kinds of rumours going round about me and all kinds of, hear me's this, that, the other. Even though I was the one that was arrested. No, I was the one that had the lies told about me. I was the one to be avoided because I was a troublemaker. I never rolled back and said, yeah, go on, just do me over. So anyway, it very uneventful day, but then this day I was in the office late night and this officer came in and he was all right, this officer, and I thought he was going to cry. He was that red in the face and his eyes, I thought he's going to cry. So, no, when you feel, what do we do here? So I said, you're all right. And these were words, and sorry about this, swearing. But he said, I'm fucking fed up with this. I said, what? He said, fucking covering up for paedophiles. He said, I'm fucking fed up. And he was raging. It wasn't that he was going to cry, he was bouncing. He said, I'm going to get fucking on there now onto this niche. And he said, they're going to fucking block her again. And what it was, he caught a counsellor cruising in the air again with a young boy. And he said, this boy was about 12 or 13. He said, we've caught him several times. And he said, he always says that this boy is his nephew. But he said, yeah, the nephew doesn't know anything about his uncle. He said, we know what he's getting up to in his car.
He's a counsellor. Anyway,
and then I learned what was going on Niche. He said, what it is, said, we put it on Niche. And he said, there's loads of them. And he said, what they do is, said, when we put it on, Niche is a huge database. I'll just explain it to you. And
does it stand for anything? Is that initials, like national such and
I've never worked out what it is. It stands for something, I think. But sometimes they have words in the police and they don't even stand for anything. It's just a word they come up with.
Yeah.
But the Home Office can open it up. And the important thing about Niche is any time, no matter how insignificant it is, a police officer has any contact with a member of the public or anyone, they put it on Niche. Now, you can never alter Niche and you can never delete it. So it's nothing you can go in and say, right, I'll just alter that or go over it. It's there. And that's the important thing about it. And they call it the Pandora's box in every station. Because if you open Niche and put someone's name into it, you'll find out every concern about them. Because, see, people think criminal records checks are safe and that's all you need. No. That only tells you if you've been caught and prosecuted. It doesn't tell you whether you're suspected or whether you've just been lucky and got away with it. You know, that's what it doesn't tell you where
so
Niche
you
does.
could have been like had 10 previous, but just got away with it.
Yeah, that's it. Where Niche lists it all. It all. So, and I could get onto Niche, but you couldn't. Let's put this, I couldn't just go on and put someone's name in. No one could, because I'll give them this. If you ever put in someone's name into Niche and didn't have a reason for doing it and put the reason down, straight away to have the PSD onto you. Why did you open? Same with what they call ARVs, car details,
Yeah.
VRMs. If you put a registration plate in there and you didn't have a good reason for doing it, they'd be right down and you could be sacked like that.
So say, like, for instance, say, like, you or someone you knew were going to buy a car and they said to you, hey, will you do us a favour? Can you check whether it's, like, stolen or not?
No, can't do that.
No.
Can't do it because the minute you do it, they'll want to know why. And what you can do is you'll get numbers wrong. And then it will come up with actually someone different. And you'd have to put a big exclamation, look, I was putting this. And you better make sure that those two VRMs or number plates match or similar for the mistake to happen. Because it's to stop people. Because what they were doing, apparently, and this is why they came out with this, and they are strict on it. You, license plate and all that, it is really, it's safe with the police. Day agencies used to give officers backhanders for finding out where people had moved to by the car, and that's why they did it. They stopped it. So they are very, very strict on that. I'll give them that. And it's same with niche. If you go into and put anyone's name in, it stops them being blackmailed as well, because you could go in and get all the dates on them. But you hear from officers who's on there and what they're on there for. They tell you. So then I remember the warning that was given. So everything went smoothly. Nothing was going wrong. And the next instance was I will name it. Not saying anything bad. You can't see. Someone you've met, Pat Gallen. Do you remember when you were being the Oxford Uni, the black police officer, very high up, the highest police officer in the country, Pat Gallen.
At the Oxford Union? Oh, yes.
Yeah, wasn't he talking about drugs or something like
Yes.
that? Well, she was an assistant chief constable there. And the IPCC, the Independent Police Complaints Commission, had just... Remember that I told you Paul Thompson, the ARV, who killed herself? Well, the force denied it, that she was being bullied or anything like that. Anyway, the IPCC turned around and said, no, there's a macho culture in the force. They said, which has to be addressed. So anyway, she came out with this big statement about, oh, poor Paula, we can never have this happening again. After they were saying that they never did it, and suddenly they're all sorry. And it's all hearts and violins. Anyway, they came out with this thing. This is sick. They came out with the True Team, and it's still there, the True Team. And what the True Team was set up for was to ensure that no other officer who's facing problems will ever be bullied, or they'll be cared for, they'll be carried through. And we all looked on it and seen whose names were on it. And we said, oh, yeah, sure, this is going to be a bleeding set up, this. Anyway, it was. They turned round and they sneaked in there. Any senior officer that was accused of bullying, homophobia, racism, anything, they couldn't have the rank taken off them. Now, does that sound like they're being concerned about it? And this was the killer. HR, Human Resources, could block any grievance issued by an officer. Overnight, complaints vanished off the system because HR were blocking them. Blocked. Now, I say complaints, but you can't actually make a complaint as an officer or a member of staff. You can only issue what they call a grievance. A grievance, you can't make a complaint, you can only put a grievance in. So overnight they were all blocked off. So if anyone did get suicidal and wanted to complain about being bullied, guess what? It wouldn't appear on the system because HR had blocked it.
It should have gone to like an independent person. All that should go to the independent person and then they can sort it out.
Well, no one's interested. Remember when you were talking to John, and he'll tell you this, and lots of police whistleblowers will tell you this. No one's interested. They all say they are. They're not interested. They don't give a damn. They just, I've been everywhere about all that went on, and no one gives. I've been to the Home Office, the IOPC, I've been to MPs, I've been to Prime Ministers. They don't care. They're not one bit interested. So anyway, the next stage there that caused trouble for me was there was this religious thing, and I shouldn't have got involved, I shouldn't have, but it was just really suspicious of it. There was this religious organ, that was a false pastor. They got like a priest. Well, I don't know, a vicar priest, something like that, but a pastor he was called. And I just turned around and said, what's going on here? I said, it's not a bleeding church. I said, it's a police force. I said, you're supposed to be secular. I said, you're not supposed to have any religious nominations here, whatever you call it. So, cut long story short, I opened my mouth to the Echo about it. And I said, we'll be calling them sister and brother now, I said, when we're going in there. And they had this big event, this same thing called River Force. That's what I thought. Nosy. You see, sometimes I just walk into trouble. I just walk into it. And so I can't really complain too much because I put myself right in the position. I thought I'll have to go and see this. So I went. And I was absolutely horrified. It was like all this business, you know. Like, oh. Now, I'm not against religion or anything like that. Officers doing all this. But it's what was said there, Shaun. It was very disturbing. And it was things like, God has put senior officers in this place. They were born to do it and all this business. And this actually appeared on the internet. It's been taken down now. And I thought, what's this cuckoo stuff about them being put there by God? So I was doing this all the time because they were filming it and I was doing that. And so they realised Satan was in the room. Anyway, that was it. This big thing went round. Oh, there's something about it. He's a Satanist or this business. He was sitting there and he was pulling face. I wasn't pulling face. I was just doing that because I didn't want them filming me.
Yeah.
And I was made quite clear when I was walking out that room that I wasn't wanted. You could feel it. It was like electric. You could feel it. So anyway, I said, you can't have this, said the evangelical Christian. I said, where's the other ones? I said, where's the Hindus? I said, where's the Jewish ones? I said, where's all this? I said, you can't just have one. So they had to make it multi-faith and they hated me for that. They hated me because these officers believe God has put them there specially. And if you go into Admiral Street or any of the stations, you'll see a filing cabinet somewhere. And if you go in the bottom one, you'll see loads of Gideon's New Testaments, which they hand out. You know, here we are. And so my thing about it, Shaun, was these people are so corrupt, these senior officers, so corrupt. There's no way you can let them get away with thinking that they can do anything they want because God condones it. And that's what they were doing. God was condoning what they were doing.
Was God condoning covering up the paedophiles?
Well, that's what they'll think. See, this I've always said, and I'm not the only one that said this, to get to that position...
They brainwashed themselves, haven't they, thinking that there's someone better than what they are.
The sociopaths are best and psychopaths. Because people think psychopaths are going around killing people. They're not. Very, very, very rare for a psychopath to want to kill anyone. It's just someone that doesn't have any empathy and is living in their head. All that they can see is what they want and what they need. And to become a senior officer, to get beyond chief inspector, you have to be willing to stand on anyone and do anything to get there.
Like Shaun?
Yeah. Got to do anything. So anyway, they got there. That's how they get there, by being rats. And they proved that. So this idea that, Mike Vale and all this is a good police because he spoke out. He's another one that goes on about Satanists. Loads of rubbish. He would have got there. As I say, I have these two sayings, which I always say. Like promotes like. Saints don't get promoted in hell. If something's corrupt, they're not going to promote someone that's an angel that will out them. They're not going to. They'll only promote who will keep it going that way. And they are very corrupt police forces. So anyway, that happened. And then...
The devil got corrupted, didn't he? He was a fallen angel.
I don't know. I never looked into it much. I just live my life and think, well, I'll find out.
I didn't know that because I'm not religious at all. But when I was in prison, the only way to get to see other people, I'd go like Bible studies and stuff like that.
This is what they do. They do in mental hospitals as well. Do you want to see the pastor? Do you want to see the pastor and all that? And it's like, well, why don't they have others? Just that one. I'd say go to Buddhism. If I was going to go anywhere, I'd go for the Buddhism way of doing it. But anyway...
I thought it gives you free food.
Oh, I'll tell you something. Remind me to tell you about the mosque as well. That something came out on that was absolutely horrific about this, bent on being evangelical Christians, which was very, very disturbing. But anyway, the next event that happened, and wait until you hear this. You think the first one, I'm getting accused of touching people up, it's bad. And I'm trying to think, because that much happened, I'm saying, so how did this kick? All that I can remember happening was it was just after River Force and all that, and I'd said, you have to make it multi-faith. I said, you can't just have evangelical Christians, I said, running around. I said, but nonsense in your head about being put here by God. I said, such nonsense. So anyway, next thing I met this officer, And she's well known, so I won't say her name, but she's in this thing called the Gay and Lesbian Support Network. And I'd always had a bad image of her because when I went to her for help, she did nothing. She did absolutely nothing. Anyway, I met her in headquarters.
The last guest we on was in that,
Well,
wasn't she? The last guest said she was the head of that.
She did, yeah, she was in it. Yeah, Maggie Oliver.
Yeah.
well, which one did she work for, Maggie Oliver?
Manchester.
Well, Manchester has a better record, but Merseyside. I mean, I can't. Well, people know Tracy O'Hara. That's her name. She's well known. She's well known in the force. She's
Did
not
they have
well
one
known.
for each force? Like,
Yeah.
Did
No, they have one for each force, and
there
she's
many
the head.
gays in the force then? I don't think there were that many gays in
There
there.
isn't. Do you know these things? Right. This is what I've always said. And she said it was, actually, no, I don't know whether it was Tracy who said it or it was Stephanie. Stephanie was much nicer than Tracy, I must say that. Tracy is a career person. She wants to get there. So she won't, it's just very muddy about it, but I don't like her. She knows I don't like
I know
her.
most of the lesbians work in gyms and work in leisure
What it
centres.
is, you'll go into a police force and you'll be falling over lesbians.
Yeah.
You'll be falling over them, tripping over them. But if you try to find a gay man, you'll find it very, very hard to find anyone like that, or transgender. And there's reason for that, because they usually come in and then go out dead quick. They don't last more than 2 years. No, when you see these parades, and this is what I always say, of on gay pride, and you see the police officer walking, their wives would be very surprised to know that they were gay. They're
Yeah.
not gay. They're told to go on
They're
it.
told
make
to
it-
go on it, are
to
they?
go on
Yeah.
it. You don't have to be gay to go on the gay pride march. So all those, there'll only be about 3 or 4 that actually are gay. There are gay people that survive it. How they survive it, I don't believe in, no, because everyone I knew was out the door straight away. And definitely transgender. You won't see transgender people in forces, or very, very rare. Anyway, I met her in HQ, and I just can't, Shaun, I can't act with people. If I don't like someone, I can't pretend I like them. I can't do it. So I was given it. I couldn't help it. I was like, well, because I've got a lot of bad history with her, and I really didn't like. And I can't stand people who crap on their own kind. I can't stand.
That's good attributes to be like that, though.
But I hate
You're
it.
not two-faced, are you?
Hate it.
You know what I
I'm
mean?
not two-faced. So I was given a reel. So anyway, we said something, and I said, "Oh," I said, "You." I said, "You never helped me." I said, "Did you?" I said, "You rat." And so she was looking at me, and so I said, "Oh yeah." I said, "Go on." And I said, "I bet you know about these paedophiles as well, don't you?" I said, "You plague-ridden rat." Now, of course, I could have been sacked for doing that to her. I shouldn't have spoke to her, because she didn't give me it back. I'll give her that due. She knows how to control herself. I don't. I'm mouthy. She knows
You
how to
could have
control
worded it
herself.
different, I suppose.
I could have
couldn't you?
worded it different, but I was that annoyed. I thought, you'll trace her on your own. As I call them, gay capos, I always call them.
Yeah.
They shit on their own kind. No, like the capos in the concentration camps, the Jews that helped the Nazis. That's a terrible analogy. I shouldn't. But that's what I call them, gay capos. They betray their own kind. So anyway, I went back to the station in Speak, and my sergeant, who I got on with really well, I said to him, "Oh shit," I said, "I'm going to get a hit back." And so I said, "Why?" He said, "Why, what's wrong?" I said, "I've just turned round," and I said, "Blast her out. I know about what's going on, about these paedophiles." I said, "I just blast." I said, "She'll be right up there." I said, "They'll find out about it." And I can't say to Shaun because I have evidence that she did. Anyway, next thing, I'm on night duty, and go off. Next morning, I come in. I'm called upstairs to see me sergeant. And he said, "Do you know anything that happened in the toilet?" So I said, "No." I said, "Why, what happened in the toilet?" He said, "Someone put shit all over the toilet." So I said, "Really?" I said, "Well, it must have been one of the officers that did it." So anyway, he's talking, and then I thought, wait a minute, why is he asking me? I said, "Have you asked anyone else this?" "No."
Why would you do that?
Well, I blew. I said, "Are you only asking me?" He said, "Yeah." And apparently the whole station heard me, because I'd had enough shot. And I knew, I said, "This is it." I said, "They've set me up." I said, "They've set me up." Anyway, again, suspended. Apparently I did a dirty protest. The cleaner reckoned she'd seen all this shit. Anyway, another year sitting on my ass getting paid by the taxpayer for doing nothing.
You know?
So we came to the day I was being interviewed, right, under caution, which was at Belvale. One really nice cop, another nasty little piece of work. And I thought, you can go with me as much as you want. I'm not giving you the rise. I knew what he was after. So anyway, sitting there, and I said, well, can you show me pictures of this shit all over the walls? Oh, and show me these pictures. It had been cleaned up. I went, what? I said,
Where's
what?
the evidence?
And I started laughing. They said it was cleaned up. So I said, yeah. Now, Shaun, let me explain this to you, right? And I pointed out them. I said, there's 2 evidence cameras. I said, 10 steps away from the toilet. I said, on the wall. I said, there would have been 3 inspectors because it was a morning takeover. So there would have been about, you're talking easily, 30 officers coming in off, all using the toilet.
Yeah.
There would have been, I say, 3, so there would have been 3 sergeants on, 2 inspectors on. And I said, not one of them, when they were told about this, thought, right, we better get a camera and photograph this for evidence.
And not only that, look at the cameras and have a look, see who's been going in and out.
But his face, this horrible copper's face, it just dropped me. And I said, God, you ain't I? I said, this has all been a pantomime. I said, news set up. So I said, go on, tell me now. I said, why didn't they photograph it? I don't know. He said, they cleaned her up. Oh, so I said, did you keep the implements that they cleaned her up with? I said, no, you didn't throw them out, didn't you? I said, let me guess, threw them out. And he was hating me because then I was laughing at him. But I was fuming, but I thought, I'll laugh right in your face, you little sod. So anyway, got out. And then, this is the thing, you're taken to a disciplinary. I forgot the other disciplinary, yeah. That's not the end of it. The CPS turn around and tell them to go and stuff off. That's the end of it. Now, if you're a member of the public and you're taken, let's say, to the CPS to see if you're to be prosecuted or not, and they say, no, drop it, there's nothing there. That's the end of it. Not if you're a police officer or a member of staff. You go to a disciplinary then, even though you're proved innocent. You go to a disciplinary so they can get you. Anyway, I had to go to another disciplinary. But the first one, I forgot to mention that because that's important. The first one about the sexual assault. The man who heard that was the area commander then. Is Andy Cook, the present chief constable. Now, this was all to do with homophobia and everything. This one. And you see him now with his, on Gay Pride Day, with his rainbow things on his shoulders. Yeah, I'll give him rainbow. But anyway.
Is he a false gay or is he gay?
No, Andy Cook, no, he's not gay. He's a good actor. Yeah. Let's put it this way. When you see someone who's a police officer, chief constable, and you say, what's your degree? You'd expect them to say, well, criminology, or them to say, psychology or something like that. Yeah. No, he's got politics as his degree. Work that one out, why he'd want politics, because he knows who he's got to keep on the right side of. Anyway, the important thing about this, when he's going on, oh, I'm honest, Andy, which he does that act, and I love gays, and I love all transgender people and everyone, that was all wrapped up in homophobia. And they attacked me because they thought I was gay. So they were attacking me sexuality when they said that I was touching them up. That's what they were attacking. That's when it became a homophobic attack. He turned round. Now get this, no evidence that I'd done anything. There was evidence to prove that I hadn't, with other officers coming forward saying they'd witnessed it and nothing had happened. Anyway, his result, this nice man who loves gays, was to turn around and say it was obvious that the officers were acting in a bad way. Right. In other words, they were being homophobic and they were being bullying. I tell you what happened. I got a final written warning. They didn't even get spoken to. Never got spoken. It was total cover because they will never admit that homophobia or racism happens. And I'll tell you about a racism case.
Could you appeal that?
You can do, which I did. I went to the appeal, which is in front of a man called Bernard Lawson. And this is, remember I said about Unison were useless? We'll get on to that. I went to Bernard Lawson and Unison turned around to me and said, oh God, said, forget it. So I said, what do you mean? Said, they'll just rubber stamp it. Said, that's all he does. They said, we call him rubber stamping Lawson. Said, he just stamps it. Horrible story to tell about something about him. Horrible story. Anyway, I thought, oh, so that's who I'm having it in front of. And so I said to him, I said to Unison, don't forget, I'm giving them paying them bleeding money to represent me. Mm-hmm. So I said, how many cases have you won? And she said, oh, that's the question. She said, I'll look into that. She was dead nice, the secretary at Unison there. And she came back to me a couple of days later. She said, I can't believe this. She said, nothing. We've never won a case. Oh, I said, well, I'm bleeding screwed then. I said, aren't I? I said, I might as well just not turn up, but you did. I thought, what's the frigging point? So anyway.
Should have gone to Rex Makins.
Don't think so. Anyway, next thing, I say, went to the appeal and he backed up. Oh, no new evidence. And that's what he says, no new evidence. So it's on your record, final warning. But I wasn't sacked. No, I wasn't sacked. That's the thing. But now we get to the second one, the Daisy protest allegation. So I was interviewed. So I thought, do I even bother appealing this? And Shaun, I couldn't be asked. I thought it's a setup. They're just going to do the same thing. But the interesting thing about Bernard Lawson, which I pointed out to the then police authority, I said he shouldn't be hearing appeals. I said he's the head of the PSD. He held the portfolio of the Professional Standards Department. Now, if there's corruption going on or an unfair prosecution has been brought or disciplinary, it's the PSD that has done it. Now, what that means is that him as the head of the PSD, if he finds that they have wronged you, he's criticising himself that he can't do his job.
Exactly, yeah.
That's what he's doing. So he's going to rubber stamp everything, no matter what's in front of him. Anyway, next thing, I'm in speak, and this is a horrible thing. And this woman came into the station. She said, "Have you got a chick?" She said, "I've got a pound chick and I have one of the little chicks." So I said, "What are you talking about, chicks?" She said, "Oh, it was in the paper." She said, "You've got chicks for leukemia, raising money for children dying from leukemia." So I said, "I'm sorry." I said, "There's no chicks here." Oh, she said, "I just thought so." So I went in. So I got onto the radio room, put a log on, said, "Did someone gone about chicks?" I said, "Can you find out where these chicks are?" I said, "Because if people are coming in to buy them for charity, why not?" Anyway, and this was so unusual, Shaun, so unusual, especially when it's considering leukemia. The radio room said, "Oh, they'll get there whenever," and closed the log down. And I knew there was something. I thought there's something odd about this.
Yeah.
Anyway, an officer was walking past, and he was a nice officer. I never said I had a bad word for anyone. And I said, "These bleeding chicks," I said, "where are they?" I said, "Apparently they're only," I said, "I found out they're in headquarters." I said, "They're not here." I said, "Why aren't we getting them?" And he said, "Oh, Lawson, Bernard Lawson." So I said, "Yeah." And he went, "Fuck him." And I went, "What?" I said, "Why?" I said, what about him?" And so he said, "It's for his daughter who died." He said, "Fuck him." And I nearly fell off my chair. I thought, what? I said, "His daughter." I said, "How old?" So he said, 4. He said, "She died years ago." And so I said, "You mean fuck him?" I said, "You can't say that." He said, "Terry," he said, "Fuck him." He said, "I'm telling you now," he said, "Have you ever heard about him mention his daughter before?" So I said, "No." And he said, "You won't hear him mention her again." He said, "What's going on?" He said, "What position is open?" He said, "At the moment, up for grabs." And so I said, "Deputy Chief Constable." He said, "Yeah." He said, "You'll never hear about his daughter again." He said, "He's trying to get in the press, so his name will be at the forefront." And he said he couldn't give a damn, he said, whether these chicks are in the stations or not, which he didn't. And that's what you're dealing with. You're dealing with some nasty people. And never have heard about his daughter since then. So I let it all go. Anyway, this thing with the Daisy protests was still going on in the background. And I say that all got cleared up, but I couldn't be asked appealing it. I thought, what's the point? It's just dead set. Then it was moved again to Belvale. And by this point, I was very much pissed.
Yeah.
Very pissed. So it wasn't pleasant to work with all the time. I could be quite... and one poor sergeant, he got in the neck with me. I don't know why. I think knowing they say when someone's being bullied, they can turn into a bully themselves. It happened to me with him, this sergeant, and he'd been with the God, I can't remember the name now, but anyway, I took a dislike to him straight. He used to swagger in like this, and I thought, "Oh, here we are. Does he think he is all, I'm a sergeant, I'm an important person, all this?" So I was taken off on him, but by that time I wasn't interested in getting on with anyone that I was working with. And it's different. Belvale, it's a neighbourhood station, or was. It's not open now to the public, but at the time it was neighbourhood. It wasn't response, and it was just, to me, it was boring. It was like, oh, good God, there's no personalities here or anything. So it was going along totally uneventful. Then this new officer came on board. Little thing, and there were all kinds of rumours going around that she was carrying on with one of the sergeants. Because they were going out doing, stop and search together. Now that's unusual, a sergeant with a female constable going out on their own. So they're all kinds of, and when I think if I used to defend her, I'd go, look, say, stop it. I said, I'm sure she's got this.
You think it should be 2 females? Because even if they say it should a female, they still need someone to...
It just stops the male officer getting in trouble, because it has happened that female officers have made allegations that weren't true. So anyway, though she wouldn't have done that, but she was a bleeding liar. But anyway, there was nothing going on, nothing untoward. But again, these rumours were going rife about me, and they were getting more and more outlandish and more, because if they don't know it, they'll make it up. That's what the police do, and they love gossiping. God, they love gossiping. So they make it up about you. What had happened was the Chief Constable of Manchester Police, Mike Todd. Now this house, how they need to get some work, these neighbourhood bobbies, some of them. He died. Now apparently it wasn't suicide. Now, did you ever hear about Michael Todd? He was found on the pig track in Snowdonia and frozen to death. Now this was an experienced walker who went up without any clothing on, had been talking about he was depressed and wanted to end it beforehand. People that found him claimed they could smell vodka on his breath. Found his body. Anyway, this coroner turned around and said, oh no, he didn't kill himself. What he did, he went up there and he was cleaning his man, but he just got confused.
They say that's just family to get the pension.
What it was because as the papers came out with Hot Rod Toddy, as they called him, he was sleeping with God knows how many people, women, and he could have been open to blackmail. And so that stopped an inquiry when they said he didn't actually kill himself. But next thing, I'm sitting in this room, and I knew something was going on. I thought something's going on, but I didn't know it was a room about me. Next thing saw one of the officers I knew that I used to get on with, he turned around and said, they're all talking about you. They said, did you know Michael Todd? I said, no. I said, I've never met the man. Well, they're saying that you knew. And so I said, well, what if I did know him? I said, what's the point? They said, oh, it's saying that you were. Oh, I said, like Michael Todd would touch me. I said, Michael Todd, could have any woman he wanted. I said, he could have any young man, fit young man he wants. I said, if he was that way, I said, he's not going to touch me. So this rumour went round and I thought, oh, do you know what? This is getting absolutely pathetic, all these things going on. So that was making me feel more isolated. And I thought, I don't want to be here anymore. So how it actually came to an end for me was this woman called in, very nice woman, and she was homeless with her daughter. And she didn't have anywhere to stay. So I phoned up. I said, you'll need to talk to the people for the housing. So I brought her in. I was with her. No one came in that room, Shaun. No one came in that room. I let her use the phone. Then she went on her way. Next thing, that officer I'm telling you about, the one that was so nice and everyone was saying was having an affair, I found out later on, claimed that she'd come into the room, the office. I wasn't there. And this woman was on the phone on her own. Well, that's a security breach. You can't leave them on their own. So I said, it's not true. And I even contacted the mum and said, will you act as a witness? She said, yeah. She said, I'll tell them you didn't leave that bleeding room. She said, when I was there, you were watching me. And also, this another thing, Shaun, right? She had a radio on at this officer. By her seeing someone on her own and walking up the stairs to tell the sergeant, she caused the breach. He's fallen asleep there.
Do you want to arrest Len? I'll finish.
No, I'm all right, lad. I'm just dozing off then. So it's not that you're boring, I'm just like...
But anyway, she went up and said, we left this woman on her own. Also, lies. So anyway, next thing, so it was going to be pulled for that. Then this other one, pain in the ass, came in. Remember, and she was always in complaining about something. a fella was doing this, threatening to kill her.
Yeah.
And she'd go away. She wouldn't make a statement, Shaun. Everyone knew this was on the system. Everyone knew it. All officers knew it. Then they called to see and she'd be pissed and she wouldn't want to make a statement. Anyway, she came in and I was just, it had been an absolutely horrific day. And she came in and thought, here we go, she's gone. And she was kicking off again. And I'd had enough of her coming in. And she was always yelling or doing something. So I turned around and gave her it back. I said, you're a pain. I said, you're just a pain. I said, get your own life in order. I said, stop expecting the police to do it. I said, we've done enough for you. Anyway, she complained and was screaming. And I did shout at her. No doubt about it. So she's got a right to complain about me. I shouldn't have done it. I should have kept me cool and not shouted at her. But I did. That went against me.
She's wasted a lot of your time, though, isn't she? There's nothing worse to people like that. They'll fucking say, oh, he's done that, he's done that.
Well,
and then when the police go to do something, they'll... See, in America, they have no choice. In America, they'll get arrested either way.
Yeah.
If they go and get domestic.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, 'cause 9 times out of 10, they take the man anyway. I mean, he could be getting shit kicked out of him by his woman, but they still take him anyway, don't they, in America? But they will do something about it. But over there, they'll complain, and then, 5 minutes later, they're all in love again, and
they
forget about it.
That's the problem. It wasn't that she was, like, in love with him again, but she'd just get pissed and wouldn't want to do a statement. So it would be left up in the air, you couldn't do anything about it. And it was well on the system that she was doing this all the time. But she accused me of refusing to take a statement of her. So, and this is it, she reckoned her life was in danger. She was more concerned about doing a complaint about me first than against her partner who her life was in danger because of, sure. And we found out later she was back with a fella. She was back with him. So she wasn't all that scared. But I shouldn't have shouted her. I know damn well I shouldn't have done that. So that was another thing they had to give me. And then my old friend Tracy O'Hara said that I was harassing her because I said that she wasn't helping people and all this business. So I thought, I got 3 against
You don't do yourself any favours like this.
Oh, no. My mouth always got me in trouble. I know when I'm doing it myself. So anyway, there was the person who was the presenting officer, the one that's bringing Jonathan Roy. Ooh. I told him, when it was all over, I had the pleasure to tell him, I said, you're the most horrible, disgusting person I've ever met in my life. And he went, like that. I said, you need that uniform, don't you? I said, God, you need it. Now, of course, he's getting up through the ranks. But he was the presenting officer. And Colin Matthews was the one here. It was a done deal. I was out the force. And I thought, I'm out. Especially when it was Colin doing it. Anyway, our friend Pat Gallen comes into the equation again because I was looking on the system. And I suddenly see Tracy O'Hara's name and Pat Gallen. She's meeting with Pat Gallen. And I thought it's a big coincidence that. So I said to my sergeant, how come she's meeting with them? With Tracy. I said, how come she's meeting with Tracy? I said, she shouldn't be getting involved in my bloody disciplinary. I said, I know she is. I said, don't kid me on. I said, no, she isn't. He said, you shouldn't be looking. I said, well, I have looked and I can't unlook now, can I? So I said, I'm going to mention it. She shouldn't be. So anyway, went into the disciplinary. And I say it was a done deal. And Jonathan Roy, oh God, and I'm not a van person, I just wanted to do that right in his eyes, I did. He was doing this all the time. And and now we're going to get onto this one, like he was having his dinner. So I thought, you little rat, thought you're enjoying this, aren't you? Colin Matthews is more of a good actor. Yeah. But then Tracy came in. He's sitting there. He's harassing me. I mean, I'm terrified to open my emails. He said I was rubbish and all this business and the way he speaks to me and all this. And so I was saying, God, I said, blimey, I said, not much of a police officer. I said, if an email's scaring you, I said, what will you do if you get a thug coming up to you? So anyway, I could see, at one point I saw her eye movement go. And she went, oh, yeah. She said, I would have helped him if he'd been nice to me. And so I said, come on. I said, you've just seen the eye movement. I said, you've got this all planned out. I said, you've Tuesday. I said to Colin Matthews. I said, no, we haven't. Anyway, this is why I can talk and mention a name. Yeah. This is why, Shaun. What the PSD did when they were getting me file together, by mistake, they put in her complaint, but they put what we call a 104A in there as well. Now, that's an internal memo, which shouldn't have been in there. And it's Tracy O'Hara in a meeting in 2008 when I said that in headquarters happened, and I said, you bet you know about all these paedophiles. She was with the True team, with senior officers, including that one that interviewed me, and Pat Gallen would have been there, and Helen, I can't remember his name, would have been there. Anyway, some very important ones. And she turned around and she said about me talking out. This will contravene the situation for all of us. I'll say that again. This will contravene the situation for all of us. What am I contravening by talking about bullying and paedophiles being covered up? I can only contravene what's actually true. Mm-hmm. So I put this in me defence, and I said, she turned around and said, go on, said, tell me what you meant by that. Colin Matthews stopped me straight away. Oh, no, we can't talk about, you're going back too far. No, we can't. So I said, no. I said, I want to answer. No, and he refused to. That was the linchpin. That was Shaun. That was all a set-up, and that they were basically, she'd slipped up bad style. And it got worse when I actually got kicked out the force. So I got kicked out. And I had a merry bloody time telling Colin Matthews and all them what I thought of them.
Did they give you a payoff, like?
Not much. It was only like about 2 months' wages. So it wasn't much. So anyway, then I I'm going to a tribunal, but I had to go to an appeal to the Merseyside Police Authority, which took 8 months to happen. And that was an absolute joke. But Colin Matthews had to come in and defend his decision. And honestly, these Muppets, these are all councillors and all that used to be on there. And they didn't have a clue. And they're more interested in getting the dinner break.
Yeah.
And of course, they've got someone there that's talking about bleeding corruption and everything, and paedophilia. Like, I tell you now, the police authority had enough of their own little secrets, I can assure you. I know the names of the people that were being covered up on there. So anyway, it was a full conclusion, but I'll never forget Colin Matthews sitting there, and he was an assistant chief constable, let's say. Can you imagine assistant chief constable, when he's asked, what did Tracy O'Hara mean by this could contravene the situation for all of us? What was being contravened by me talking out? He went, no comment. No comment. Like some little bad boy brought into a custody.
Yeah.
No comment. And that's
Tell him no comment.
So I was out then. And I thought, that's it. It's ended. It's gone. Don't give a damn anymore. So went to the Merseyside Police Authority. That was an absolute joke. They backed the force up 100%. But they'd heard it all. Now, fast forward it was only about a year. And I'm walking down my street and I meet that officer with another officer that was crying. I thought was going to cry and speak.
Paul was angry about the paedophiles.
He was angry. And so I said, as my MP is Maria Regal. And I said, you know what? I said, she's an absolute pain in the ass. I said, she's just not doing it. I said, I've told Maria Regal everything. Oh, I remind her now and again. So I've told you what's going on here. And I was still unaware how deep this was. And so he turned around to me and said, Maria Regal. He said, this counsellor, he said, I caught. He said, who do you think is his mate? And I went, you're kidding me. So he said, yeah, he said, she's not going to do anything. He said, none of them will. He said, none of them will. He said, they're all keeping stum on this business.
Let me just clarify this then for people watching. So the policeman was upset about the protection of the paedophiles. Yeah. The counsellor, the political figure, was constantly getting off, had this 12-year-old boy. Yeah. And then now you've got a person high up in the police who is a friend of the counsellor, the paedophile. No,
Maria Regal, the MP.
Oh, the MP?
Yeah, it's a friend.
So we're going to the political elite now.
Now, that's not
And I wasn't falling asleep, I was just resting an eye.
Now, that's not saying that Maria Regal knows he was, but I told her, let's put it this way. And as I said to her, I said, what I tell you can't. I say that I didn't tell you, but there's lots of evidence that I told her. And she's done absolutely nothing. Nothing to help. Nothing. So I got onto the IPCC then, the Independent Police Complaints Commission. And that was a joke. They actually replied to the wrong complaint at first, which was data breach. I got this through and thought, what's this? Someone else's paperwork. I said, you've done the wrong thing. Anyway, This is what the people don't understand, the public don't understand when they say police officers and staff should speak out. It's not that easy, you're blocked. And what it was is that there's a rule that for some reason when they invented the IPCC, which was Labour invented Tony Blair, for some reason they put in this clause that anyone who worked for a police force, past or present, could be blocked from making a complaint to the IPCC. Well, there's only one reason you'd have that rule. That's the silence people. There's no other way. There's no reason for it. Why would you stop it? The very people who are going to see corruption first, someone in the organisation or someone outside, it's going to be someone in the organisation. So it silenced them straight away. And you can't do anything about it. But it's also arbitrary that IPCC can actually go against this and say, no, we're going to look into this. But they always turn around back. They're so corrupt, they always turn around and back the forces up. So they were going to do nothing. No, we're not going to look into this about paedophiles. So there was another case going, which happened in Belvale, a racism case. Now this is very, very, very significant to showing the corruption that goes on. I was on duty and this Asian taxi driver came in. And he looked terrified, Shaun, absolutely terrified. And he started in broken English saying to me, please don't let the police officers beat me up again. Please don't let them beat me up. He said, please, I'll do it. And he said, don't let them beat me up. So I said, calm down. I said, what's going on? And he said, these two CID officers asked to meet him. But he said, they beat me up. Now, of course, you can't take what everyone says coming in. So I took his details and I got on to Niche, the secret thing. And it came out he had complained that he'd been beaten up by these two CID officers. And it also put dates on it where he complained, and he'd gone to the IPCC of all places, the Independent Police Complaints Commission, and they'd beaten him up to try and stop him complaining. Anyway, he said, they've told me to meet them outside McDonald's, which is down the road. And so I said, well, why have they told you to meet you outside McDonald's? I said, why not the station? I said, the station's here. Why McDonald's? He said, I don't know. He said, but please don't. Anyway, God was looking down on him that time. His phone rang. And he said, that's them. So I said, right, put it on loudspeaker. I said, we've recorded everything in here. I said, put it on loudspeaker. And it was one of these officers. Where are you? So he said, I said, don't tell me. He said, I'm nearly there. He said, I'm nearly there. He said, what? He said, you're not going to beat me up and all this business. And he said, so I said, why? They're meeting you outside McDonald's. They said, you lied about us. And we can have you deported. At that same time, someone from the custody suite had come through and he opened the door and he heard the officers going on like this, telling them to drop his complaint. And he mouthed to me, he said, I'm going to get a sergeant. So he ran to get a sergeant. He's well away. Anyway, next thing, the sergeant came down, took all the details, wrote all details. I did a statement, took the man's phone, took everything. I'll tell you what happened. Absolutely nothing. The PSD did nothing. Didn't even ask to collect the evidence. Nothing. So anyway, I got onto it. By that time, John Murphy was the chief constable. I got onto him and said, they haven't even looked into this. Said that man was assaulted into dropping this complaint with the IPCC. This thing on his phone, that's why we took his phone. He had pictures. Now, I know what it looks like when someone's been whipped with an asp. That's the truncheon, the metal one, expanding one. And he'd been welted all over. So he was telling the truth. He'd been telling the truth.
Yeah.
Anyway, PSD wouldn't do anything. And this became significant because I went to the IPCC.
That'd be thick welts as well, wouldn't it?
And they go like, you can tell by the ends, because they go down, they taper down.
Yeah.
And you can tell where someone's, it's always here and here,
Yeah.
the side and here. If someone was doing it themselves or getting the friend, they wouldn't know where to hit.
Yeah.
So specific way a police officer will do, because they're getting the tender points.
Yeah.
Always there, yeah. So anyway, they wouldn't collect it. They didn't want to know. So I got on to John Murphy and I said, that's unacceptable. I said he was bullied into dropping his complaint. So anyway, I got the reply, oh, we have noted it. I thought, I'm not falling for that one. So I said, no. I said, that's not good enough. I said, we have noted it. I said, noted it isn't doing anything. I said, you're going to do it? No. Anyway, I thought, I'm not letting this go. So I went to the IPCC and said, this is what happened. I've got that man's details, his date of birth and everything. Now, considering that he was beaten up into dropping this complaint with them,
Yeah.
they backed the force up 100%. Backed them up 100%. And that's your independent police complaints commission for you. They're always siding on the side of the police. Anyway, by this time, I got out the force. And then Theresa May decided she wanted police and crime commissioners to replace the police authorities. And we have the blessed Jane Kennedy as our police and crime commissioner. Well, straight away, I will tell you the thing, when she was going for the job, I mean, it was a foregone conclusion she was going, but when she was going for the role, she was tweeting out, "Oh, I'll protect police whistleblowers, I'll protect them," and all this. I made an absolute mare out of it on radio for saying that. She never has done. Anyway, she got the job, and it was very controversial that she did get the job, because you can see it in the press. If you put Jane Kennedy going for the PCC, you can see councillors were even warning. They said she will not put the public first. She will give all her little friends jobs.
Her own agenda.
That's all. That's Jane Kennedy. And what it was, Bernard Oakenhow wanted. Bernard Oakenhow, that was the chief constable. I can't remember his name. The mayor, Joe Anson. Joe Anson wanted her to get the job. I wonder why he'd want someone like that to get the job. I wonder why. Well, I don't actually wonder why he'd want someone like that to get the job. Anyway, I got straight onto her and said, "The covering up paedophiles there and other criminals," I said needs an investigation, which she can order. She didn't even respond for a whole year. Now, this was at the days when it was brewing about these Westminster paedophiles, and Rotherham and Rochdale were all starting to brew up. So anyway, I got on, then heard Chief Executive, Joanne Liddy was a woman called Joanne Liddy. And you've seen Joanne Liddy, beautiful woman, blonde hair. Frightening that she used to work for the Home Office on sensitive cases and serious cases. God knows why, because when she did what she did to me. Anyway, I gave her all this information and said, "Look, here we are." I said, "They're covering it up." I said, "They're blocking it on niche all the time." I said, "And that's how they're keeping these cover-ups going on." Anyway, she started acting the dumb blonde. "Oh, I can't see where the chief constable's responsible. I can't see where John Murphy's responsible. Why is he responsible? He hasn't gone in and blocked them himself." I said, "Yeah, but he knows that's happening." And I said, "For God's sake," I said, "he's the chief constable and he could do something about it." I said, "But he's refusing to."
Yeah.
So she kept up this line, "I don't see where he's responsible." So look at this, as I said to Shaun, look at it this way. You see a load of police officers walking down the road with banners saying, "Vote for the National Front" or "Vote for the BNP." And the chief constable sits back and does nothing. You'd blame him, wouldn't you, for letting them get away with it? So if they're covering up paedophiles and other criminals, and he's made aware of it, and he's sitting there, not just him, Bernard Oakenhow, and this present fella, is Andy Cook, is fully aware, because I've made them aware of it. I said, "You're saying that because he isn't physically blocking each one himself on the computer." I said, "That's pathetic." So I got onto the IPCC again, backed the force up again, completely again did it. Anyway, by this time I was informing every MP in UOF, every minister in UOF, every one of them got it. I got told basically by David Cameron, sod off. Got told by the Home Office, sod off. They've refused to speak to me again, won't even respond.
What did you spend your pension on? Stamps?
That's what I was sending out, emails. And when I'd be doing these emails, strange enough, I used to slip and copy all kinds of journalists into it as well.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was letting them all know this. No one wants to know. And Theresa May, when she became Prime Minister, didn't want to know. I say, Marie Eagle didn't want to know. NSPCC. Oh, I even contacted them when I was still with the force. Took a great chance. They didn't want to know. They're still not interested.
You said paedophiles plural. You give the example of the councillor.
Yeah.
What other paedophile cover-ups were you aware of?
Oh, to say a few, but there's one I can name because he's dead.
Okay, go for it.
Rex Macon, sorry.
What was the situation there?
Well, Rex Macon was known for a few decades. He was for people who don't know Liverpool, he was a famous Liverpool solicitor, and he was actually the bane of the police If you had a complaint about the police, you went to him. And
he was my solicitor for many years,
Yeah,
by the way.
he was-
I thought he was very good.
he was very good.
Bent to the two, Bob, no, in more ways than one.
Yeah. But anyway, he was found out to be fiddling with young people, you know. And, oh God, when you see him, Jesus, they must have needed the money. Or whatever he was giving them. But it got so bad, he'd actually go into the custody suites, and if anyone needed a representative, it was a nice young man. I mean, it wouldn't have been a child in the custody suites, but he'd offer to, if he got services of sexual kind in return. And the custody suites knew this was going on, St. Anne Street and all that.
You only had half in here.
But anyway, this was going on for ages. So when he died, straight away I got onto the force. And this shows how big the cover-up is, Shaun. I got onto the force, said, right, he's dead. I want all the information on him. I said, you can't keep it anymore. I said, it's not covered by you. Anyway, the force refused, and they said, now this shows you. They turned around and they said, because Rex Macon and Co., the business that he had, is still going and functioning. No, it would be adverse to them. So in other words, money was more important than people knowing that there was a prolific paedophile.
So while he's still got partners, his paper can't go out.
Under that name. And it would adversely affect the business. So money was more important.
We've got loads of young partners, so it's not going to ever come out, is it? Really?
I know. But the next thing was they turned around, and this disgusted me as well. And they said that it wouldn't be in the public interest to know, and that if they were doing an investigation, it could impinge on an investigation. Well, I jumped right on them, so I said, Rotherham and all that. I said, the only reason people came forward was because it was advertised. I said, it was all put out there, and people came forward that were victims. I said, so don't use that one on me. I said, keeping it quiet, I said, doesn't help. And I said, there's no investigation. I said, if you're covering it up, of course, there's not going to be an investigation. But they stuck to it. So I went to the ICO, the Information Commissioner, and said, right, I want this information releasing. Explained it to the Information Commissioner. And she spent months and months doing it. And I went through every avenue. I said, you've got to tell them, because like in a rape case, when someone's accused of rape, the name is published so that there's any other victims, they can come forward. Well, as I said, you've got to get victims coming forward. And I said, it isn't the public interest to know if the force has been covering up for this man. And I said, there's no investigation. So I put it all out there. Gave details of Rotherham and everything, where it had happened, Savile, the lot. The bitch turned around. And she even said, oh, yeah, it could do that. Oh, but no, it could affect an investigation. Even though I said, there's no bloody... Are they going to investigate something that they've been covering up?
So, he knew a lot of people, Rex Bacon, though, didn't he?
A hell of a lot.
I mean, the people he played golf with and all that, probably heads of the police.
This is the funny thing, right? You ask people in Liverpool about Rex Macon, you say he fiddled, he liked young people. How many go, oh wow, everyone's heard it.
Yeah, of course.
Everyone's heard it. So it's no secret, it's an open secret. Where's the kept secret going? Anyway, so why do it saying it could no affect a investigation and all this rubbish? So then I had to go to an appeal at the family court of all places in front of a judge. That's how determined I was to get this. This is how much of a setup it was. The Information Commissioner said, oh, I'm not going to bother turning up because it's just a waste of money. She knew it would be rubber stamped no matter what I said, or she would have turned up. She knew that was the system. I appeared in front of this judge and two other people. And this judge came in and she said to me, she said, oh, this is about Thames Valley Police. I said, not to my knowledge. She said, it's about Merseyside Police. No, I said, what are you talking about, Thames Valley? She got mixed up. This is how into it she was. But at one point, and I'm trying to be good because I'm thinking, no, you have to suck up to these judges. So don't say anything funny or snide to her. But I felt like it, the way she was carrying on. And at one point I said, look, what you really need, I said, is that if anyone's going into public life, I said, you need to get on leash. And I said, look at what's on there. I said, to protect people. I said, but they won't do that. Anyway, she went, that's a bit extreme, isn't it? I said, well, when I went to work for the police, I got background checks and everything on me and people I live with and everything. So she thought that was dead funny, and I thought, I've lost this. True to form, she found a favour of the police force. And that's how determined they are to keep this covered up.
Why did the police cover up paedophiles?
Because they're very powerful. Rex Macon would have had all kinds of information on the police themselves, and also there's going to be senior police officers that like them young.
Were you aware of any senior police that like the young?
Oh, a couple I got told about.
Why do some investigations proceed and some are stopped? So, for example, when the Epstein investigation first landed on this side of the pond, it was stopped by the very same detective that allowed the Carl Beach to proceed, which was a false.
Yeah.
Why does that happen?
Well, Carl Beach, what I heard about Carl Beach, and this was a young, because I still talk to some officers. The force don't know it, well, they do know, they've twigged that I do, because I know too much information. But as I was told, I said, what about this thing? He was no one's nick then, no one knew who he was. And so they turned around and said, it's bullshit. And so I said, what's going on? They said, what it is, and this is true. Carl Beach, other than what other people say about him being set up, he was set up in the way that they knew he was lying. He was a liar, Shaun. It was all lies. There was no truth in it. This rubbish about torture and all this, there was no truth in it. And what you've got to remember, Carl Beach was a paedophile himself, and admitted he was. He was caught with porn and everything. So he was a paedophile. And what the police did, the Met did, with these historic cases, they cost millions. And the problem with a historic case, Shaun, is that it's the evidence there. So police officers have to be paid. Everything has to be paid for, and it costs millions. So it was costing them millions. And the worst thing, and this is the gripe I have with survivors online who campaign, I've always had this against them. They were putting themselves before children now.
Yeah.
They were the priority, not the children. Now, we could get, and he even said that to me online, we can get to them eventually. That's like me as a 54-year-old man coming up to you and saying, or woman, should I say? Forgot myself then. Anyway, I look in there and I say, freaking hell, who am I kidding? But anyway, I come up to you and say, oh, I was sexually abused 40 years ago, or let's say 45 years ago. And a child comes up and say, I'm being abused now. Would you turn around and say, oh, go away, we'll get to you eventually, we need to deal with him first?
It depends on what the situation is. 'Cause you do get people jumping on bandwagons, don't you? It's terrible, but you do get people.
Oh, you do get it. There's not everyone.
Especially like footballers and stuff like that. Yeah. You actually get them being like.
Oh, there's all sorts. I mean, not everyone that claims to be a survivor is true. But what I've always held, and that's why I don't. If you see me on Twitter, I used to have in the past a huge following of survivors, but I really lost my temper with them and thought, because we're all Carl Beach, Westminster paedophiles, Carl Beach, or Nick as he was saying,
yeah.
They were focusing in 100% on him. But from the police perspective, they couldn't deal with cases now. So it was costing them millions, and it was just not ending. Every day someone was coming across. I was abused by this famous person, this MP, who ironically is dead now, this way. It was just coming to
some of them for money.
Yeah, it was because
that's just the famous people, by the way. That's not for the grooming and all that. That's just for the famous.
I mean,
people.
things did go on, but Carl Beach was now 100% liar, and it was proven in the course. I mean, he turned around at one point and said he couldn't look at his body because the details he gave, he was tortured. He was absolutely tortured. Well, he was such an egotist. He took a picture of himself enjoying all his fame and all this. Took a picture of himself in why you thought anyone would want to see him like this in just a pair of shorts. Wasn't one scar on him, nothing. And yet he reckoned he was so badly scarred he couldn't see himself in the mirror. But why the police did it, even though they said we believe everything they said, they don't. They wanted to get something that was obviously lies, which it was.
Mm-hmm.
Get it to the point so that they could turn round and say, right, unless there's definite 100% evidence, we're not looking at these historical cases anymore. We're not having it, to shut them up and stop them. And that was a bad motive for doing it, because there will be genuine people out there. There will be genuine people. But that's why they did it, to stop it.
There's get so many people crying wolf, though.
It was monetary.
Even Jimmy Savile's niece, she end up in getting a sentence because she claimed something that was false.
Yeah.
Well, this is really sad then, isn't it, for the genuine victims? Because isn't this like a big step back now for them?
That's exactly what's happened. That's the only conspiracy that you can see in it. It's not that he was silenced to protect anyone. He wasn't. excuse me, he was a liar. And when some people say he got a harsh sentence of 18 years, no, he deserved every bleeding part of that. Because what he did was he set up, well, actually, it was, when you think of it, it was the police doing it to him. They had taken this case on, the course. But he got a lot of money out of it. And there's a lot of people in campaigning now, because this was known, the warning was given out, Shaun. A lot of campaigners, well, not a lot, actually, it was only a few. I was one of them at the time when it was a campaign. I don't campaign anymore. We were warning, we're saying there's something iffy about this Nick fella, because what happened was, how I twigged something was going on. There was this account called Carl Survivor. Now, be wary, because there's other Carl Survivors on there. It's not him. But it tweeted out, this Carl Survivor was trying to do this show called Wall of Silence, where he wanted £5,000 to put on this. It was just a wall with people's pictures on it who were survivors of child sexual abuse. And people were well into this. But he tweeted out this day, and this was 2015, must have been. And he said, oh, I can say about Leon Britton, I wish the police would come to me, I could say about this person. And I just knew sixth sense, I thought, that's this Nick fella. I thought that's... And then it started going on to other people in the community, because they must have known it was him. They must have known, but they were keeping it quiet. Anyway, this Wall of Silence went up with all these photographs on it, which I still say to this day was very... egotistical. Why someone wants to put a picture, oh, look at me, and this thing, it's all look at me, and ignoring what's happening nowadays to children. So when they found out that he was, and he confessed that he was a paedophile, that came down pretty quick. And of course, no one's going now, I believe Nick, because they know he was a liar, and he got a lot of money from it as well. But that's why they did it. That's why they looked into
How
that.
prolific are paedophile rings, these networks?
Well, this is it. This is where I draw a line on it. I don't see them as being paedophile rings as such. I see them as just being groups of people that happen to get together. And the majority of it, unlike Epstein, I mean, you talk about money talks. And when you've got that much money, you can do whatever you want. You're a god, aren't you? You can do it.
He basically, his first sentence, he just went in this thing called the Stockade, where the police were chauffeuring him around to his appointments.
That's it.
And he made him wear plain clothes. And when they came in, his visitors, they were like his secretaries, the police, and you know, screening the visitors for him.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? He gave like he donated 120,000 to the sheriff's department. He had them just running rings for him.
Yeah.
Taking him out to appointments, screening his visitors.
Having a nice steak.
Bringing
them young boys in the night time.
He had them install a TV in the legal visit room, and he had the whole stockade to himself, so there was no other prisoners in there. He's just watching the TV.
Porn.
But that's the way, I mean, in America it's worse. I mean, it's not as in your face here. That's one good thing. But in America, my God, it is very, very, very corrupt in America. But that's why Carl Beach, it was a monetary thing. And that's why when Boris Johnson turned around and he said in a horrible way, spaffing money up the wall, what he was referring to was this, you've got this inquiry now, the independent inquiry into child sex abuse. Total waste of time, Shaun. And I tell you why it's a total waste of time, because it's going to end up costing millions and millions and millions and millions. And all that's going to happen to go and say, we hope people will learn lessons from this. That's it.
So these inquiries then, these big names in the media, they're set up to reassure the public, but they're not really going to do anything about anything. No,
they're not. It's just going to be, what can they do? What legally can they do? Absolutely nothing. It's just going to be, we hope that you learn lessons from this, and that's it. And they won't. The lesson they'll learn is to cover up more, to make it harder. And this is where with other police whistleblowers, I go in a different direction, because I'm sorry, right? If you're putting the public first, your priority is not whistleblowing protection. It's not. We've got that. It's just not applied. It's already there. When you're talking about whistleblower protection, that's thinking of yourself. And so when you're saying you're thinking about these poor kiddies, no, you're not. If you're thinking about the poor kiddies or anyone else that's suffering corruption, what you do is you say, let's have the law changed that when a whistleblower speaks out, niche has to be opened. And the information put through it to see what comes out. Once niche is opened, you've got it like that.
So why did he sacrifice some high-profile people like Rolf Harris, Max Clifford, but people like Jimmy Savile are completely protected until they're dead.
I haven't got a clue, and I'd be making it up with it. So the only thing I can think of is that I heard years ago. I've actually got one on my YouTube site where they talk about what I know about Leon Britton, or what I heard about Leon Britton. Now, this was before I joined the police. I was still working in the theatre. This is how long ago, gosh, you're talking about decades ago. Now I was working on the show, and this young man, we started talking about this entertainer. And I don't know how the hell we got onto the subject, because I don't even like this entertainer, but we got on to him. And he said, oh, he's a paedophile. I went, is he? So he said, yes. I said, how do you know that? He said, my dad's a chief inspector. And he said he interviewed him under caution about being with young boys. And he said it was all covered up. He said, because of a minister in the Thatcher government, it would have exposed him at the same time. Yeah. So I said, who? And so he said, Leon Britton. Now, that was decades and decades ago, before you heard any of this Savile or anything like that. So
like Cyril Smith days.
Well, Cyril Smith, this is the thing, right, about Cyril Smith. This is another issue that is controversial. Simon Danchuk was the one who wrote the book about Cyril Smith and claimed he ousted Cyril Smith.
Yeah.
Smile for the camera. Shite, he didn't oust him. The person who ousted him, he needs to get the credit for this. John Walker was the man who, in 1980s and Private Eye in 1979, they both...
Private Eye was very good back in the day, wasn't
they? They did it. So this thing that Simon Danchuk ousted Cyril Smith, loads of lies, and Simon Danchuk just caused so much damage. And good riddance to him, goodbye. And I actually got hounded off Twitter and social media for 3 years because they found out I was the one that... do you remember when he was called for the sexton? Sam Danchuk was found. That's what destroyed his career.
Yeah.
This man, he was always going on about these poor children, these victims of child sex abuse and all this, and these exploitation, these girls and all this. He was sexing. I found out he was sexing a young girl. So I got right onto Manchester Police and I said, look, I don't know how old this girl is, which you didn't. But I said, I've heard that she's young and it's a concern, and said, you need to investigate him. So Manchester looked into it and she was 17. So couldn't do anything about it. But for a dirty old man like that, 17, I mean, it was a bit close to the edge. Well, it got out that I was the one that repulsed him. And he was a hero then. Simon Danchuk was a hero. Oh, he was a god. You couldn't question Simon Danchuk at all.
Still a dirty old man though, 17.
Dirty old guy. Oh, everyone hates him now. And this is why I don't have a good relationship with the campaigning communities. Because I remember you couldn't say a word against Simon Danchuk, but you'd be cut into, you'd be attacked by everyone. Oh, he's a god, he's a hero and all this. Right, the minute, and this is how political it is, how all political child sex abuse and exploitation is. The minute he said he was going to challenge Corbyn, they turned on him like that.
Yeah.
It wasn't because he was sexing. They turned on him because he turned on Corbyn, and that was like, there we are. Then he was the devil incarnate and all this business. And it's all very, very, very political. And I don't care what anyone says. It doesn't come with a yellow, blue or red rosette. It goes all over the place. But as for Westminster paedophiles, I mean, it just wasn't the great big horror story. And this thing that I don't like is when people make it into horror stories. It doesn't mean to, look, Shaun, any child being or any youth being sexually abused is horrible. You don't have to start talking on about satanic rings or something like that. We've had that since the 1970s, since Michelle remembers the book, which she claimed.
It's like almost over-glorifying it, isn't it?
Well, what it does, it starts getting the attention away from it. The public want a horror story. They want your Epsteins. They want all that. They want the Saviles. Yeah. The bigger, the uglier, the nastier. That's what they want. But when they're looking at them, they're turning away from children. And it doesn't just happen in Liverpool. Vulnerable children are usually from homes that are dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Who are on drugs. Desperate from a young age, and they'll do anything for it.
And they know generally it's either a relation or someone they know who's actually playing with them.
Oh yeah, so these are
whoever it is that they're in a sort of detectives that should be looking after him.
Yeah, that's it. And this is what happens, and they've forgotten.
Is there a conspiracy then with the people running foster homes to provide kids to people like Cyril Smith? Are they in on it?
No, I don't think so. But I couldn't swear to that. I say that's not one area that I'm up on. But when I used to work with social services, of course, in the police, you'd work with social services. Social services are like anything else. You get good ones, you get bad ones. But I was never aware of anything in Liverpool on the scale, let's say, Rochdale or Rotherham or anything like that. What it seems to be in Liverpool, there's a hub. And that's where they were wrong sending me to speak in Belvale, because they put me right in where the cruising ground was. The cruising ground in Liverpool is around Chilwell area. And there's actually a house, now don't ask me where it is because I've never seen it, I've just heard
Posh
about it.
Chilwell, isn't it?
Yeah, well there's a house there, they call it the House of Sin, or the House of Discredit can be called as well. And they take these young boys there, it's nearly always young boys, and they take them there to have a good time with. The Police and Crime Commissioner, the Home Office, all that know about this place. They've never shown any interest at all. But I can't say where it is because I've never seen it. I just heard about it. But that's where they go.
Door and find out.
But it's there. But they just don't. And this and what stopped me in my tracks, and this is what brought everything to an end. And I thought, I can't go any further. I made the mistake, Shaun, of getting onto because what is the IOPC, as it's called now, it used to be the IPCC. There was a big thing with the Home Affairs Select Committee in Parliament, headed by Keith Vass, right? Oh, God. And it was about the corruption in the IPCC. Now, let me give you a very quick history of the IPCC. It was started up in response to the Stephen Lawrence murder, to try and sort all that. It's about as independent as the police doing it themselves, because the police officers, a lot of them working on secondment. And some of them were investigating their own forces. So you're not going to get anything independent there. Anyway, this was such a big issue. They had to do this. And the upshot was, let's change its name. Like, that's going to change the corruption. And that's what they did. They just changed the name. And in one part, and I got direct on to Keith Vass, it said, we have to stop using so many officers on secondment.
That's like saying, let's bury the problem, it'll go away eventually.
Let's call the Pink Bunny people, and then everyone would be convinced. But yeah, it just, it was all the things that too many officers say. And I said, wait a minute, I looked at the changes that they were saying were happening. And I said, you've got there too many officers. I said, then you've got there that you should include the HMI, RC, Her Majesty's Inspectors of Constabulary. I said, they're bleeding police officers. I said, they're investigating themselves. That's the problem. So I said, you're actually saying in one sentence, no more officers. Said then you're saying more. Totally ignored. Well, I got onto them and thought they've changed. I'll get onto the IOPC. Hopefully give them a chance. So I took this issue with them. Stop me writing me tracks. Bitch. And talk about a setup. I'll never forget it. I said to her, I gave her all the information. She said, look, if I've left anything out or you need any questions, said, please come to me. Said, I've got all the evidence you need. I said, come to me and I'll give you contact me. She never once contacted me. I didn't even know who was dealing with it. And I had to actually phone them up and said, look, I'm waiting here. No one's contacted me. He said, you're supposed to let me bleed know that there's a caseworker on it. So anyway, they told me who the caseworker was. And I'm going to name her because it's in the public domain. Claire Duffy. Because that case will be in the public domain with the IOPC. Claire Duffy is responsible for me giving up because of what she did. Anyway, I eventually got in touch with her and I said, look, Claire, I said, what's going on? I said, this is a serious matter. Oh, I'm looking, and she was just so cold. I'm looking into it now. We're talking about child sex exploitation here. And so she was so cold. And I thought, I'm not too fussed on this. So I said, if you need it, contact me, right? Yes, I will. Anyway, she slam dunked it. She turned around and said, it was obvious that I was just trying to stir up trouble. I was trying to cause embarrassment for the chief constable and all this business. And I'd been given the chance to talk about this issue. Now, what she was talking about, and this what actually made a slip up. 2 officers. Now, when I saw them knocking at my door, I didn't expect this. 2 officers came. And one of them, honest to God, friggin', you know that mate you've got in America, the big fella that's in prison?
T-Bone.
Yeah. Well, he'd make him, honest to God, he'd make him look like a little girl, 6-year-old girl. And I thought, what the hell's going on here? So anyway, they said, we've got to talk to you. So I said, all right, come in. And so they were saying, look, this thing about the paedophiles. So I said, yeah. I said, well, unblock the complaint. I said, unblock the complaint. I said, and investigators said, then I'll give you all the information. I said, but what's the point of me giving it now? So you can go round and tip everyone off. I said, that I know their name. I said, I'm not doing that. So anyway, I said to him, tell the chief constable, who was then John Murphy, I said to unblock it. And I said to tell you, I'll give you all the information you want. But I said, I'm not giving you it on the sideline. I said, so you can go round and tip all these MPs and councillors off and people in the media. I said that I know which ones is which. I said, I'm not doing that. So I wasn't refusing, Shaun, but she said I'd refused. I hadn't refused. I said, unblock it, and I will. Anyway, I thought I'll get information from this from the Freedom of Information, so I asked for all the paperwork. Oh, God, when I got the paperwork through, I was absolutely bouncing. This Claire Duffy, when she said it was obvious, I saw an email in there where she was talking to and where she wasn't talking to me, she was talking to the Police and Crime Commissioner's officers. Oh, hello, how are you, PCC? Good morning, all dead nice and sweetness and light, where she wouldn't even contact me. So I thought, yeah, we can see what side you're on, can't we, love? And this part about the officers calling down, she was asking for that paperwork. And Jane Kennedy's officer said, oh, it's lost. So I thought, well, if it's lost, she didn't see it, but I had it. I had it at home, and she never asked me for it. So I thought, well, how can she turn around then and say that I refused when she hasn't? It was clear that I refused it when she hasn't even seen the paperwork because it's lost. So I got straight on to him and said, actually, I said, I've got that paperwork. You should ask me. I said, then you'd see what it actually said. I said, not what Jane Bleegan Kennedy claimed. I said. So anyway, I had to put a complaint in about this Claire Duffy one. Total setup. And I said, I want to know, is she a police officer acting on secondment? Said, she working on secondment with you. Refused point blank. Now remember, this was a big issue about police officers working on cases with the IPCC. And they refused to confirm. I'm convinced, and I've said this, as far as I'm concerned, she's a police officer. I said, I'm telling you now, she said, I know the way a police officer writes, and she's a police officer. Anyway, so that was all shoved off. They didn't give a damn. But what she did, straight away, Andy Cook and Jane Kennedy turned around to me and said, oh, you're being vexatious. We don't have to talk to you anymore. You're being vexatious. So she cut it right down. So the IOPC have stopped this ever being investigated. They've stopped it right out. And no one, the Home Office isn't interested. Another person that's interested, who have got real gripes with, who wants to be the next Police and Crime Commissioner, and people need to be aware of this, Steve Rotherham is an MP here. Bricky, calls himself Bricky because he used to be on the building sites, have his own building company. Now, Bricky La, right, when he was an MP, I got onto him. And I said, look, I said, your mate Jay Kennedy, I said, it's been a right bitch here. And I said, she's enabling this cover-up to go on. So I told him, I said, will you help me on this? Anyway, he didn't even reply. I got a snotty reply from his office monkey, his secretary. And he was dead snotty. We're not helping you, go to your own, go to Maria Eagle. I said, it's no point me going to Maria Eagle. I said, she's not going to do anything. I said, she's keeping stum, that one. I said, she's not going to do anything for me, which she hasn't done. And I've accused her outright of no. I've accused her outright, Shaun, and she's never. I said, go on, sue me. I said, you know. I said, what's going on there? I've said it wide and loud. Anyway, next thing, he becomes the Metro Mayor. So he's not an MP anymore, so he can get involved. He said he couldn't get involved because he was an MP. He couldn't get involved in another MP's case. So I thought, right, now you're not an MP. So I got on to him and said, dear Metro Mayor, I said, do you remember when I came to you with this? I said, well, you're not now an MP. So I said, you can get involved. Oh, no, I can't get involved, he said, because I can't tell Jane Kennedy what to do, his best friend. But the interesting thing about Steve Rotherham is this, right? Steve Rotherham was boasting. He was helping Tom Watson, who was behind all this Westminster.
Yeah.
So he was helping him behind the scenes. So he couldn't get involved in anyone else's work. So, and he was also tweeting out as well. Oh, the poor girls in Rotherham and those officers being bullied into changing their statements in West Yorkshire Police, how terrible it was. But yet when he's told it's happening in his own playground, he doesn't want to know.
So you're saying it's all propaganda coming out from the top police brass.
Oh, yeah.
So in conclusion then, because we've run out of studio time, what would you like to tell the world from your experience in the police about how this is all just in summary? Like, is there any hope? I mean, you've come in and give this detailed, you know, all the levels you've gone through to blow the whistle on the paedophile rings and police corruption. You've really detailed that brilliantly today. My heart goes out to what you've been through. And people are going to be watching this. They're probably going to be thinking, is there any hope for the world? You know, if the people in charge of the police who are supposed to be protecting these kids are just covering this up left and right, what hope is there for the world?
We haven't got no hope.
There's always hope, right? But what has to happen? I mean, as for police force, and they're the ones that are holding it, but don't forget they're holding it because
got to go.
Oh, this is it. You'll never get it clean. As I say, you'd have to start from scratch, which you can't do. It's impossible. But I'll say it again. Niche, if anyone ever has the impetus and has the power, or any MP out there or minister wants to take up this issue, that once someone mentions that they know there are names on Niche, that Niche has to be opened up, an investigation cannot be stopped, especially when it's something as serious as child sex abuse, and the chief constable like Andy Cook can't turn round and say, no, I am not going to look into this because it's my decision.
The police ones can open that.
The Home Office can.
Yeah.
Oh, the Home Office, no. The Home Office would have known about Savile, everyone. They would have known about all of them.
So the top police then, like in America, you vote for the police and things like this, but it's different here. Is it the politicians that put the top police in? It's not the public.
Well, this is what the police say. They don't put the police in. No, there used to be the police authorities, which were councillors and MPs. Yeah. Now it's the Police and Crime Commission. So one person, and if you've got a corrupt Police and Crime Commissioner, you haven't got a chance. You haven't got a chance.
So there really is no hope.
There's no hope from that side of it. But some of them, you have got some police and crime commissioners who have sort of made moves and you think they're honest. We're just unlucky in this city. We've got a right shit one. And but the thing is about this, was saying, niche has to be, someone has to champion that. I've tried, not interested. Survivors are too much interested in chasing, bleeding things like Epstein. So yeah, Epstein's important. I'm not saying that, Shaun, but I'm saying it's looking, they want the monsters. And when they're looking for the big monsters, they're forgetting that, let's put it this way, Epstein's dick, Savile's dick, didn't haze any more than your local councillor, no one knows who he is, dick. Yeah. You know, they all matter. But we've got to start safeguarding the children. I'll tell you now, in 15, 20 years' time, there's going to be a flux of people come forward again saying, why did you abandon us? And that's going to happen. So, but there is hope. But you have to wait for it to someone to have the interest for it.
So your testimony corroborates the testimony of the other police we've had on here. 4 police now, I think we're up to. I'm going to start an ex-cop playlist on YouTube. That will be in the description box below this video if you want to click over and check out any of these other police interviews. So this is going on in London. This is going on in Manchester. This is going on in Liverpool. It just looks like it's completely happening across the country. And how can people support you, Anne, and find out about you?
Well, I say I'm not campaigning them. I've gone as far as I can go.
Do you want people to click over to your YouTube channel?
Well, they can click. They'll find all the dates on my YouTube channel.
I'll put the link to your YouTube channel in the description box below this.
Because you get all the dates, and I say it's going to take me months to come out with it, and I'm telling it as I know it. But if you're looking for anything spooky like satanic rings or stuff like that, you're not going to find it. You'll find what I know and what I see, and the truth can sometimes be a bit less exciting than and straightforward than, you know.
But you know what you said today is completely horrific. You've detailed the nuts and bolts at the level of all, you know, all the times you blew the whistle and the appeals and the bureaucracy, and it's just a complete quagmire.
The paper is like that, and people said, write a book. I can't be bothered, Shaun, because no one's going to be interested in it. No, it isn't. But it's like that, and to put that all in a book would be absolutely, you'd have a huge encyclopedia of a book. But the end issue is, stop thinking about, oh my God, look, there's a famous person, and start also looking to what's happening around you. And I'd say to these survivors, name one person, one child you've saved, one child that's suffering now you saved. And if you can't, I'm sorry, all these campaigners that are around, that are going on about it, talking about what they went through. Yeah, it's important that you talk about what you went through because it gets out the line of taboo. But until you bring me evidence that you're saving a child now, you know, that's when we'll know we're getting somewhere. We've got to start focusing on what's happening now, not what happened 40, 30 years ago. It's important, Shaun. I'm not saying it isn't. It's important. People need closure. But with Carl Beach now, you're going to find getting that closure even harder.
It's just so prolific as well. It's just not being stopped. It's all being blocked and covered up. Yeah. So we've just got a few people we've got to thank who've sent us some gifts. Did someone send you a T-shirt?
Yeah, I'll have to get the... I had a piece of paper went with it.
So we've got that T-shirt. And got the T-shirt in here with these...
I want to do it tomorrow, I remember.
Okay, yeah, let's do that tomorrow. I would like to thank the person who sent me the skull shaver. It's got four. We're not sponsored by anyone. We're taking the piss out of sponsors until we get a sponsor. It'll happen soon, perhaps. But we do get people sending us free stuff just for a shout out.
I like Absolute Vodka as well.
It's got 4 heads.
Oh, they're good then.
You
not on yet.
Are you adept with
get
this?
Shavers then? Like that.
You want to give me a go?
See, they're brilliant.
It tickles.
There we go. You've got a nice shiny head now. And do you know what? Remember, right? I'll switch it off.
Oh yeah, it's at the back.
I'll tell you what you'll know. You take the tops out and to clean them out. These little things here.
Okay.
Because they get full of your hair.
Yeah, I've not cleaned it yet. All right. Hope you've enjoyed this one. Put your comments down below. Take care out there. Cheers.
Bye
bye.